And this cemetery, that's full of the stories of the unexpected when you least expect it. So my dad's grave up here, he was only 50 years old. He was diagnosed wrong at this Parish Fields Not So Healthy Centre. You know, wrong diagnosis has played a big part in our family history with the Dis Parishfield Not So Healthy Centre, treatment room 7, full of 7 black serial killer lies and 7 Dr. Death bogus diagnoses in the big Dis black box frame. By saying my dad, they diagnosed him wrong 3 times, said he got lymph glands, glandular fever, flu, but he'd got Hodgkin's disease. And by the time that was discovered what was really wrong with him, that had spread to his livers and his kidneys, and that was game over. He only had 6 months to live. Bless him, he lasted a year. But he ended up, you know, he's a big guy, 6'3". But he ended up looking like something out of a concentration camp, bless him. I say he'd got all his plans. Who knows what a day can bring, you know. He's going to build a bungalow in Derbyshire, retire with my mum, love Derbyshire. And then suddenly you got 6 months to live. And my dear sister Sally, you know, she took herself out upset. People do things, you know, when they've had too much to drink. Took a load of Temizepam with Southern Comfort, took herself out. And I say, when I found her, that was a real heart-wrenching moment. I've never experienced my spirit churn like that. You know, real tragic loss, only 27 years old. And I was up here, you know, doing the graves, and there was such an outpouring of grief. That's when the funeral was taking place of the young lad Peacock, who was a motorbike racer from Shelfanger, you know, been taken out in a race. And just the sorrow and the real tragic loss for, you know, all those present. You know, you could really feel that. And I had to, at the same time, I had Inspector Bunt and Mr. Fixit for Dis Masoness Council, the MP, MEP OBE, the Mayor, and along with Peacock at Dis SS Police Station, nicely setting me up in a big serial killer frame. You know, making me disappear to the Norfolk Bacon SS pork farm, Dr. Death's black pig pen, walked right into a police trap. Inspector Hayden, I say Richard Hayden used to have a baker's just across from myself at Victoria Road, and I say they really burnt me black in the Richard Hayden baker's oven, serial killer black. I say I got dear friends up here too, like brothers, Freddie Sweeten. I say I was in an accident with Freddie coming back from Stowmarket one night. We'd been to a club there. We said we'd go back to Brougham Grange because there was a do on there. So there was only parties in Dis where anyone needed a lift back to Dis. Kevin Apfram and that were following us in the car behind. You know, I was having to sleep on the door on the journey back, 20-minute journey back to Brougham from Stowmarket. And then Freddie fell asleep too, 70 miles an hour, and we went over 2.5 times in a Hillman Imp and ended up on the roof, upside down. And bless Freddie. You know, he looked at me and said, "Johnny, we've had an accident." But I say, because I was asleep, I went, you know, didn't even have a mark on me. I just went with the roll of the car. Freddie hurt his neck and his chest on the steering wheel. And I say, like a brother to me, and a real dedicated father and husband, worked long hours. And then I say, later on his car veered off the road where he fell asleep. I don't know, but his car suddenly veered off the road and he hit an outbuilding. So that was a real tragic loss of a good friend, a really dedicated husband and father of 2 lovely children. And there was Ted Pretty, as I say, he'd already been in a head-on collision with a van on the country lanes where everyone drives in the middle of the road on his moped and ended up with pins and plates, got compensation. Bought himself a very fast RS Turbo Escort, miscalculated overtaking, I think it was a minibus on the Bressingham Straight, and got taken out there. Say Jonathan Crosby, another really good friend, you know, up the top, worked for Eastern Electricity, up the top of a pole, electrical pole that should have been isolated properly, but it wasn't. Got electrocuted at the top of a pole. Kevin Riches, Another lovely little man. Grandad, we used to call him. Come round the corner. Broken down lorry, flatbed trailer. You know, got decapitated. His head was still on his crash helmet. So, and I say, when, like young Peacock over there, the young motorbike racer, when you find yourself in a race against time and you have to escape, so you don't end up here taking a big hit in a permanent black box fix, 6'6" in the ground. Yeah, and that's how I mentioned to you about Kenya. You know, the unexpected, being trapped, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time can be fatal. And the whole name of the game is you got to be in the right place at the right time. You know, if you've got time to prepare, you know the trouble's coming. And in 2006, there were 600 people massacred in the north of Kenya. I mean, DC3 falsely saying that Kenya was one big safari park. There'd never be any problem there. You know, I had been in Kisumu before Mum went there. Under curfew, mobs on the street, people being shot on the street. The Preston's tribe, well fed, well armed, pushed in against the Lur tribe. You know, I stood with Ambrose and there was all the huts burnt down on the side of the hills, with the families either inside or had been massacred, you know, trying to flee from their huts. But according to DC3, I was making it up, but it was not a lie at all. So I stood there with Ambrose. I even stayed with Charles up at Semi, which was a big Lur area, you know, where all the funerals were taking place because of the tribal fighting, all the war parties. You know, Charles was a chief's son up at Semi. And say what I've covered in the past, Jaffa and his Yardie gang threatening to burn my mother alive in the car, and God confirmed I was to go and to go urgently. You know, in 2008, when the trouble was starting there, I was with Nick Shea down at Far End Burston. So, you know, I was unemployed at the time because not too many people were going to employ the Black Cat copycat, or the framed Black Cat copycat. Black Cat of Burston, the so-called displaced psycho serial killer, which is never the case. And you know, certainly no one nuts here. You know, squirrel out after his nuts. And Nick said, you know, if you want to go, I'll put up the airfare. So we went and had a look. Virgin flights from Virgin Airways, £178, because people were cancelling their flights. They're normally £400, £350, £400 touch. So I prayed about it. My bag was always kept the bag packed, ready to go at the drop of a hat. And I come down Derbyshire's hill, and there was roadworks, and a guy was walking in front of me with a big stop go sign. He didn't hear me coming down the hill behind him in the car, and he's walking down the centre of the road with a big stop go sign, but it's on stop. And I had a real witness in my spirit. This time the Lord was saying, stop Johnny, don't go. And on the other side of the roadworks was a Land Rover coming up Derbyshire's hill. And it's just ironic that my mother had a Land Rover at the time in Kenya. But so I had this real witness that this time the Lord was saying stop. Before that it was go urgently, race against time, life or death situation. And this time the Lord was telling me to stop. So I had to trust, you know, that everything would be okay, or there was nothing I could do. And as it turned out, even if I had got into Kenya and flown up to Kisumu, I wouldn't have been able to reach where Mum was, because all the roadblocks and the mobs out on the street. And I say she had 200 people, 200 street children and orphans with her at that time, and another 300 children took refuge with her. And all around Covenant Home, people were killed, you know, properties were burnt and looted, but no one touched Covenant Home. And even when she went out in her vehicle to get supplies, you know, the mobs and the roadblocks would open up and let her vehicle through. Whereas other people were stopped, beaten, killed, their vehicles stolen or burnt out. And it's the same, you know, with the unexpected when you least expect it. Not long after coming out of Africa and all the big false allegations concerning Africa, the big black cornerstone that 23 DC3 Hope Church now, monster serial killer lies are built on, Africa this Norwich Sandringham, big police collaboration. You know, I was running a hostel for homeless young men, my Christian calling, and some youths come round. I had a chip pan on. Julie, my wife, was there, who worked, she was a deputy manager of social services. Worked in a latest big secure unit down in Essex. And these youths had come round to see Brian, Dale and Gavin, you know, who I'd taken in, homeless young men. And there was this young girl crying her eyes out, only 15. And the woman who was like a mother to her had just been multiply stabbed to death in Banham. And I knew the guy who had done it, because when I used to drive for Simon's Coaches before I was stitched up and lost my job there because of monster lies, when I used to pick up the Padley's workers down on Park Road, he used to sit behind me. I think his name was Crook. Had a really long hair and a big hairnet, like this sea fishing and all that. But this woman had jilted him over at Banham, so he went over and multiply stabbed her to death, and I think he shot himself. But you know, this young girl, so she'd lost a woman who was like a mother to her, who she stayed with every weekend, and she also thought that she was pregnant by Rob Hammond in Skull, who was 17, a youth in Skull. Gavin, Dale and Brian knew, who she now detested. So it's like a double whammy for her. So my wife Julie just told her where she could get support and counselling, and say she had a lot of contacts in Norfolk and Suffolk in social services. And she left, we never saw her again. But among this group of youths was Edmonds. I'm not saying he started the rumour, but the post office certainly did deliver a big monster lie around this, claiming that this was on the back of all the false allegations about me going to Kenya. And you know, there was all these false rumours around that I'd raped and got an underage girl pregnant. Obviously, it was never the case. And because no one could turn her up, people were saying that I disappeared her under. I was doing landscape and groundworks at Halston, so they reckon I'd buried her under a patio over there, or you know, was turfing, doing groundwork. So I'd buried her at Halston, you know, to cover up the crime. Again, which is never the case. Some people said on the golf course. Kingfisher's Dairy, where I was working at the time, some people were in the fishing club, so they reckon I disappeared her into Dismere. And I lost my job at Kingfisher's Dairy through those monster lies. But I did take Graham Kingfisher to an industrial tribunal at Bury St Edmunds, and I said, look, you can bring anyone you like. Bring the police, bring the MP, bring the councillors, bring the Royal Mail Post, the assassins. You know, let's see who's telling the truth and who's got, you know, monster black lies. And at Bury St Edmunds, you know, industrial tribunal, Graham Kingfisher, obviously with the young farmers at the time, sending me death threats and, you know, shotgun cartridges saying there was one with my name on, and the hanging tree was waiting for me. But Graham Kingfisher had nothing to say whatsoever. Zip, zero, zilch, a whole lot of nothing. Can back up any of the monster black lies. But during it, what was interesting, you know, during the tribunal, like I said, I'd committed no crime. He did let slip that the police said that I should be locked up. You know, I should be, you know, I was meant to be the mad, deranged, psycho serial killer, which was, to say, never the case. And I had wheel nuts loosened on my milk float, so I was going through Thalvin before, you know, the Dickleborough Skull bypass, doing 40 miles an hour. Suddenly got all this vibration. I thought it was the prop shaft. Wheel came off the milk float. You know, it was a Sherpa van. Put me on the other side of the road. I was doing 40, lorry coming the other way doing 50. Would have been a 90 mile an hour impact that I wouldn't have walked away from. But like I say, at the tribunal, Graham Kingfisher and his solicitor, he couldn't get out of there quick enough with his black cat tails between his legs. And even, like I say, when we marked up this, all those sending death threats, cutting brake pipes, loosening wheel nuts, phone calls day and night, painting me really black, serial killer black, paedophile black, never the case. When we put 18 Zs in this, the hardcore in this, behind this big hate campaign with a bit of black spray paint. I did go to Rowland's solicitors, show him all the death threats, all full of monster black lies. Mr. Rowlands, who later became a judge, could judge a character. You know, he said, Johnny, you've got a good case of character assassination, you know, we'll be glad to represent you. And I say, not suing anyone, never about money, it was just to clear my name. But he said, you know, you're looking at £21,000, and that was a long time ago, so, you know, trying to do it the legal way, it's not the option. You know, you can't clear your name that way. So I say we marked up the hardcore in disc with the letter Z, you know, because I went to Kenya because the sword was out. 18 black Zeds, 666, the big Freemason fraternal, big serial killer framing disc, all positioned engineered against myself, disc council. And then I say, I was arrested for criminal damage, which is no big deal, a bit of graffiti, which we would have even gone around and cleared up. But not one person who we marked, you know, in the big hardcore in disc, behind this big hate campaign, Monster Black Frame, would press charges for criminal damages and face me in court with the press there, you know, and back up their Monster Black lies and all their death threats and phone calls and cutting brake pipes loose and wheel nuts that could have got me killed. But instead, I say, walked right into a police trap, Peacock, Inspector Bunton. No interview ever took place. The folder I had with me with all the death threats that Roland solicitors had seen, some written on police notebook paper, that was disappeared. I was disappeared to maximum security, solitary confinement, forced drugged. And then I say I had more bogus diagnoses put on me than any serial killer, paedophile, rapist, mass murderer, terrorist, ripper. You know, you could mention past or present, all these bogus diagnoses. So they really did bury me alive in their big black box frame. And they say, even though under arrest for criminal damage, I was denied a phone call. Solicitor of my choice, Simon Nichols from Belmore Solicitors. They know if I had a phone call, I could run circles around their big black box serial killer frame. So that's why they denied me a phone call. No interview ever took place because I was meant to be going there for an interview. As to why we'd marked up this. 2 tins of aerosol, £5.40. And that was, you know, ironic too, that when we marked up this, you know, sprayed the hardcore, for a time the death threats did stop, the phone calls stopped. You know, it did back people off because we were saying, right, enough is enough, because the false allegations weren't just against me, mainly against me, but you know, they were targeting Brian, Dale and Gavin T. All these false accusations, sex with young girls and all this sort of thing. People saying I was Fred West and Sutcliffe, but 55 Victoria Road was never 25 Cromwell Street. No bodies bricked into the wall, under the floors or buried in the garden. So, but like I say, walked nicely into a big police trap, and and since then the frame has only got deeper, darker, blacker, and still lit in a big disc, or Norfolk Bacon SS, disc council, Freemason fraternal, MP knobhead bacon, in a big monster black box frame, number 10, SS Sandringham 666. Like I say, to cover up a Sandringham estate, Jack the Ripper crime. So, like I say, sometimes you have to disappear for all the right reasons, put yourself in the right place at the right time rather than being trapped. They're certainly not going to be served up by the clowns in this. And there's plenty of people who'll stick a knife in your hair or do other people's dirty work for drugs, alcohol, money. So as I say, you don't want to be in a permanent black box fix, 6'6" in the ground, in a big Norfolk Police disc council frame. So that's the one, as I say, here today and gone tomorrow. We just, yeah, we'll all be here. You know, who knows how the chain reaction will end that we're all in, or how any of our stories will end. But like I say, you don't want to go before your time, yeah. Leave yourself, and I say with this, you know, I am at a very big disadvantage, surrounded by assassins. So as I say, you have to take yourself to a place where you have the advantage, not be in a big place of disadvantage. So anyhow, so I say, there's a lot of stories up here, and it's interesting too. You know, I come to do the graves the other day, and you walk through and loads of people I know are now here. So as I say, life is short. You know, we are like a flower that just blossoms and withers. Soon passes us by, so. And then you have to just make sure you're ready through the Lord Jesus Christ, through the priceless gift of God's salvation, you know, to cross over, to pass over in the other side. And make sure you're in the right place, the kingdom of God, you know, at the right time, in the ark of the new covenant, which is the Lord Jesus Christ. And not in the wrong place at the wrong time, trapped and enslaved for all eternity with Satan and the fallen. So anyhow, God bless, keep safe, keep well, take care, and we'll speak again soon. Take care, bye.